Right. As you know, the Secretary General is now back in New York. I think Fahan briefed you on his activities on Friday. On Saturday, he was in Istanbul, where he visited the Joint Operations Center of the Black Sea Grain Initiative. He was also able to see the WFP ship Brave Commander and board the SSI Invincible II vessel, which was on its way to Chornomorsk in Ukraine to load up almost 50,000 tons of grain, which would be the largest shipment to leave Ukraine since the start of the war. He then toured the Joint Coordination Center, where he was joined by the Turkish Minister of Defence, Hulusi Akar. He also met with the Ukrainian and the Russian delegations to the JCC separately, and then sat in on an official session of the Joint Coordination team. He thanked all of the participants for their professionalism, humanity, and for ensuring that this initiative is a success for people around the world. He also had a press conference, and those remarks were obviously shared with you. Also, just an update for you on the fact-finding mission. As you will recall, on August 3rd, the Secretary General announced his decision to launch a fact-finding mission regarding the July 29th incidents in Olinvinka in Ukraine, following the request from the governments of Ukraine and the Russian Federation. The fact-finding mission will endeavor to ascertain the facts of the incident and report to the Secretary General upon completion of its work. Earlier last week in Lviv on Friday, the Secretary General stated he was going to appoint, on Thursday, the Secretary General stated he was going to appoint General Carlos dos Santos Cruz of Brazil to lead the mission. This has now been done. The other members of the team are Ingebjorg Solrun Gislasdottir of Iceland and Isufu Yakuba of Niger. The terms of reference of the mission were shared with Ukraine and the Russian Federation, as well as the makeup of the team. Will now continue to work to obtain the necessary assurances to guarantee secure access to the site and any other relevant locations. As the Secretary General said very clearly in Lviv, to put it simply, a fact-finding mission must be free to find the facts. The team must be able to gather and analyze necessary information. Above all, that means safe, secure, and unfettered access to people, places, and evidence without any interference from the parties. From any party. Some background on the members of the team. I think you know General Dos Santos Cruz. He has over 45 years of national and international military and civilian experience. In 2017, he led a high-level review on addressing violence against peacekeepers. He also served as force commander in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and prior to that in Haiti. And he also held a number of leadership positions in Brazil. Ms. Ingebjorg Solrun Gislasdottir also has over 40 years of experience in international and national public service. Most recently, she served as the Deputy Special Representative for the UN in Iraq, and prior to that, she carried out various high-level assignments with the OSCE, as well as UN Women. She was Iceland's foreign minister from 2007 to 2009, and served as a member of parliament for 7 years and mayor of Reykjavik for 9 years. Mr. Isufu Yakuba brings several decades of experience at the National and International Police Service. Most recently, he was police commissioner for the UN peacekeeping force in Mali from 2016 to 2021. Prior to that, he served with the UN operation in Burundi as deputy police commissioner, and also served in his own country's police force, including as inspector general. And he's also served as a regional governor in Niger. This morning, the Secretary General spoke at a Security Council meeting on promoting dialogue and cooperation. He told council members that the focus of the briefing makes clear the path to peace is forged by dialogue and cooperation. Mentioning his travels to Ukraine and Turkey, the Secretary General said the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which he had the opportunity to see in action, is a concrete example of how dialogue and cooperation can deliver hope, even in the midst of conflict. He stressed the same commitment to dialogue and results must be applied to the critical situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine. The Secretary General noted the tools have kept us from catastrophic war that are more important now than ever, but they must be fit for today's rapidly deteriorating international peace and security environment. His remarks were shared with you. Also on Ukraine today, in a statement, the UN Children's Fund Executive Director Catherine Russell said that at least 972 children have been killed or injured in violence since the war started nearly 6 months ago. Since the war escalated nearly 6 months ago. That's an average of over 5 children killed or injured each day. These are just the figures the UN has been able to verify. Ms. Russell added that beyond the horror of children being killed or physically hurt in the attack, almost every child in Ukraine has been exposed to deeply distressing events, and those fleeing violence are at significant risk of family separation, violence, abuse, or sexual exploitation, and trafficking. She added that Ukraine's education system has been devastated by the escalation of hostilities across the country, and UNICEF admits that 1 in 10 schools have been damaged or destroyed. And the Special Envoy of the Secretary General on Myanmar, Nolene Heiser, arrived in Bangladesh today for a 4-day visit. She will visit Cox's Bazar to engage directly with Rohingya refugees. She will also meet with the authorities in Dhaka. Turning to Syria, over the weekend, the resident humanitarian coordinator for Syria, Imran Riza, along with the regional humanitarian coordinator for Syria, Muhannad Hadi, and the UN Children's Fund's regional director for Middle East and North Africa, Adel Kodr, expressed their deepest concern about the continuing escalations in northern region of the country. They said attacks at the one hand occurred last week on the market at Al-Bab City, once again shows that civilian, many of them women and children, continue to suffer the effects of ongoing hostilities in parts of Syria. Our senior UN officials urge all parties to take feasible measures to minimize harm to civilians and abide by their obligations to protect them. And over the weekend, we issued a statement in which the Secretary General strongly condemned the terrorist attack on the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu, which took place on August 19th. He expressed his deep condolences to the families of the victims, as well as to the government and people of Somalia, and wishes a swift recovery for the injured, and reiterates the solidarity of the UN with the government and people of Somalia in their fight against terrorism and their march towards peace. Thank you. And today's the International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. This was a General Assembly observance adopted in 2019. In his message for the day, the Secretary General notes that on this day we honor those who have lost their lives or who have otherwise suffered for simply seeking to exercise their fundamental rights to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion or belief, and reiterates his firm solidarity with the victims. And yesterday was the International Day of Remembrance and tributes to the victims of terrorism. This year's theme focuses on the importance of memories. The Secretary General said in a message that too often victims feel abandoned after their initial shock of a terrorist attack. It is our collective responsibility to remember and honor the victims and survivors. Edie.
Thank you, Steph. All of follow-up questions. First, on the fact-finding mission, is there any timetable of when it might be able to get to Olenivka, and when would its report be expected?
First things first, I have no time frame to communicate with you. We're obviously in touch with the parties. As we said, we need the assurances not only for their safety, but free access to people, places, and papers for them to do their work free of any interference by any of the parties. Once that happens, obviously they will do their utmost to complete the report as soon as possible.
Secondly, the Secretary General, in his briefing to the Security Council, said that he was going to brief them on Wednesday on his trip. Is this confirmed, and is it going to be?
That's our understanding, but obviously we need to wait for the presidency to confirm.
And so my question is, has there been any progress on an IAEA visit to Zaporizhia?
That's for Mr. Grossi's office to answer. As we've said, we've given them all the support that we can and ready to accompany them on a mission from Kyiv. But they're in the pole position in terms of discussing that trip with the parties.
So I take it from that you haven't heard from the IAEA on any.
I mean, we're in touch with them regularly. I think, given the delicateness of the matter, I think we need to wait for us to get the green light from them. Kirsten.
Just to follow up on that, there's been accusations back and forth, obviously, about shelling around the area. I know the UN isn't there right now, but do you have any confirmation of military activity there? Is there any way to confirm that?
No, I mean,
given the he said, she said that we're getting right now?
We're obviously very concerned about those various reports. The important thing for the Secretary General is the demilitarization of the area, of the plant and the area around the plant. I mean, the IAEA mission is critical, but it's a separate thing from the fighting that may be going around in and around the plant and the risks that poses.
Can I just follow up on that as well? Is it realistic to expect that Russia is going to, given it's invaded the country, that they're going to pull their forces back from this place where they have that cover? Is there is there something in international law that would require them to do that the UN can cite?
I don't want to venture into pretending being an international, a lawyer specializing in international law. I think what we call upon is the wisdom of all the parties to do whatever they can to avoid what could be a catastrophic accident. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, did the Russians still control that prison, Olenivka?
Well, we have no access to it. So, I mean, obviously the fact-finding mission is about access. My understanding is that area is not in government controlled area. But obviously we still don't have access to the area.
And the Brazilian Brigadier General, is he retired or is he still active in the military?
He's a retired general.
He's based in Brazil?
That's his home, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. I see you've got your, Edward, you've got your hand on the microphone and I'm just... Yeah, sure, of course, go ahead.
Any comment on the situation in Pakistan? Increasingly tense situation there, charges announced against Imran Khan. Anything you can tell us?
Yes, what I can tell you is that the Secretary General is aware of the charges brought against the former Prime Minister, Imran Khan, and he emphasizes the need for a competent, independent, and impartial legal process. The Secretary General urges calm, lowering of tensions, and respect for the rule of law, human rights, and fundamental freedoms. Okay, any other questions? Going once, twice. Sold. Happy Monday.